Okay, so we're going to fit our flap onto our exterior panel. So we're going to mark a line that's 2 inches away from the side, and you're working on one of the shorter sides. So the long sides are 8 inches, the shorter side is 7 inch. So we're going to mark a line that's 2 inches away from one of the shorter sides. Let's get rid of the pins that I've already stuck in there. And then we're going to find the centre of that line, and we know that this is 7 inches across, so 3.5 inches will be our centre. And I've just stuck a pin in there to mark where the centre is. Now, you can use a tape measure and measure this if you want to, but I tend to do it by measuring either side. Now, the end where you've got those threads that were turned in, that needs to go directly over the exterior panel. So I'm just gonna make sure that it's absolutely square by putting a ruler in the gap in that sort of angle to make sure that that's 90 degrees. And we're going to position this flap centrally, and it should be just about, depends how thick your exterior fabric is, but it should be about 2 inches either side. So if you've got really thick exterior fabric, then you might find it's a little bit more, perhaps 2 inches and 1/8 or something like that. If you're using just plain cotton, then you may find that it's a little bit less. But centralize it. So we've got I'm just going to pin it so I can hold this up. So I've got my flap sitting 2 inches. This is the 2 inch line, and it's situated centrally. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch this on, and I'm going to start about, this is a guesstimate, it's not an absolute science, and it's really very much up to you. I'm going to start about 1/2 inch up from the curve, and I'm going to come all the way down, round the bottom and back up the other side, and I'm going to try and use the same stitch holes as I used before. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those pins out, and I'm going to stick a couple of clips in to hold this flap in place while I stitch. Where are my long clips? Somebody has liberated them. That'll probably be me putting them somewhere else, because that's my usual favourite trick. When you have two tables where you work at, you tend to take all the pins out and take all the clips out on the other table, and then I never kind of move them back to here, which is what I should do. So let's raise up the foot. So this is quite thick, this faux leather, so I'm hoping that this is going to work. So I'm going to look really silly, and what I want to do is try and drop my needle into an existing hole. I've got long threads at the start on both the top and the bottom, because I'm going to bury my threads the same as I did before. I can take that pin out now, and I'm just hand cranking it around this curve, because that way I know I'm going into the same holes. And I'm just making sure that I am. Coming along the bottom here. Let's get rid of that pin. If you're not sure, just take it literally one stitch at a time. Once you've got to where you want to finish, which will be the same point on the other side, pull your exterior fabric out, and we're going to take that needle that we've used before, and we're going to take the thread from the top through the next needle hole through to the back of our fabric. Now you can see that I've actually got more fabric on the back of this than the required ½ inch. It's only because I was quilting the exterior and I was a little concerned that my fabric might shrink, so I cut it a little bit bigger, and when I stuck it on I didn't cut it down. It really doesn't make a lot of difference, it's just a little bit of extra fabric around the outsides. Just me being lazy really. And the same with the other side. Take that and take it through the next hole. So that's the same as we did before. We're going to do this a lot. And tie off those threads. Now, if you're going to put rivets into your flap, what you can do is you can put those in now. I'm not actually going to put rivets in mine. I'm going to leave it without because I quite like it without. But you can take your 3 rivets. You can use your template, and I don't know what I've done with my template. Put it in a safe place. Here it is. You can remove that. You can use your template to mark where your rivets need to go. So pop your template on top of your flap and then fit your 3 rivets onto the flap. Now, if you choose not to use rivets, that's not a problem. It's very much up to you. I'm not a huge rivet fan, but I know a lot of people like them, and it makes the flap feel really secure. So if you've got them, if you want to put them in, then put them in. And I'm not going to tell you whether you need to use. You can use hand tools, you can use a press, you can use whatever you've got really, whatever's your preferred method. I recently got some of those the plier things to do rivets. I'm not convinced I like those. I think they might take a bit of getting used to. So you can do this if you're using rivets as well. The next line of stitching, let's just grab something so I can point. Here we go. And the sun is shining through now, so we're getting the sun on things. It's going to go on this inside edge where I've already stitched, but I'm going to stitch around, and I'm going to start about probably 3/4 of an inch away from this edge. So I'm just going to literally go into that curve and along the bottom edge and just around the curve. Don't sew right up to the edge, because when you do your final construction you're going to need to pull your flap out of the way, so you can't have it stitched right up to the very edge, because if you do you won't be able to get the final construction done. So again, long threads, start and finish. And so I'm just going to start just sort of halfway round that curve, if you like. And again, I'm going into the previous needle holes. Actually not easy to see on this because this is grey thread on grey faux. So it's quite difficult to actually see, but because I can't see, nobody else will be able to see either, so they won't know if it's in the same holes. It really is worth doing just one stitch at a time though, just to make sure that you've, and you don't, if you've put the rivets in, you don't actually have to do this bit of stitching. It's a bit of extra security, but it's not an essential if you've got rivets. So again, we're going to take the thread back through to the other side of our work, so the wrong side, both the thread at the start and the finish, and then we'll just tie them off on the back. I guess you're going to be sick and tired of tying off threads, but it's really, it will pay dividends if you do it. It looks so much neater. Back stitching on faux leather, I don't imagine it's going to make much difference on this faux leather because it's so thick, but on some faux leathers will literally destabilize them. It will cause them to perforate, it will cause them to split, it'll cause weakness at points which are stress points in the construction anyway. So much better to just pull the threads through and tie them off. And you also don't get that ugly chunky sort of lump of stitching at the beginning of an end of your work. And there's no way to hide it in this because there's no seams per se. So there we go, we have our flap in situ. Now I'll come back to you because I wanted to show you two different sorts of metal clips. If you've already put a magnetic fastener on there, we'll do the other half in a moment, but when we come in the next video, but when we come back, the next video will show you there's two different sorts of metal snaps, two different designs, and they fit differently and they have different tools. I'm going to show you the hand tools, but if you've got a press, then by all means use the press. I have on occasion done a twist lock in this. And that's easy enough to do, but I'm not going to use one on this. I want to use a snap for this, so I will show you how to do a twist lock, but I'll probably do it at the end, how to put a twist lock in if you choose to. So I shall make up another outside bit and use a twist lock in it to show you, for those that want to see. So that's your flap in situ, either with or without rivets. You don't need me to show you how to do rivets. If you want me to show you how to do rivets, then I will do. But comments underneath this video if you want me to show you a video on how to do rivets. No problem. Okay.